Have you ever felt completely overtaken by emotion? Like something inside you took the wheel before your brain could catch up? You snapped. You shut down. You said something you didn't mean. And afterwards, you thought, why did I do that? I knew better. You're not alone. And you're definitely not broken. You've just never been taught what Daniel Goleman uncovered. That emotional intelligence, the ability to understand, regulate, and use emotions, can matter more than IQ, more than logic, more than talent. Break here, stop mill. Hi, I'm Ben. And today, I'll walk you through one of the most powerful books I've ever read, Emotional Intelligence. Why it can matter more than IQ. Daniel Goleman is a psychologist and former science writer for the New York Times. He took what neuroscience discovered about emotions and made it practical. This book changed how we see success. For years, we believed that intelligence was everything, but Goleman showed us IQ might get you through school, but EQ gets you through life. Break here, stop mill. Emotional intelligence shapes how we handle conflict, how we love, how we lead, and how we heal. So if you've ever wondered why smart people still mess up their lives, or why you struggle to say what you feel, or how to stop reacting and start choosing what to say or what to do in everyday situations, then stay with me, because what we'll uncover in the next few minutes could change the way you see yourself and everyone around you. Let's begin.
Thank you, Ben. Let's begin where Goleman begins, inside the brain. Emotions aren't irrational. They're ancient survival tools. Long before logic, they helped us react fast. The amygdala is the brain's emotional alarm. It acts before we think. That's why we jump from danger, but also why we might lash out, freeze, or shut down in daily life situations. Goleman calls this an emotional hijack. Your thinking gets bypassed and your feelings take over. And it doesn't just happen in crisis. It happens in arguments, emails, even silence. So here's the truth. You feel before you think. Emotional intelligence starts by noticing, not suppressing, but listening. Emotions aren't the enemy, they're signals. And when we learn to read them, we unlock clarity, serenity, and connection. Let's explore the 5 emotional skills that can change your life. Starting with self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to recognize what you're feeling while you're feeling it. Most people realize they were angry, anxious, or hurt only after they've acted it out. Emotional intelligence starts with catching that moment before it explodes. Here's a quick real-life example. You're in a meeting, someone interrupts you. You feel heat rising in your chest, but instead of reacting, you notice it. You breathe. You name it. I feel disrespected. That moment of awareness, it's power. It's choice. Studies show that people who can accurately name their emotions make better decisions, manage stress more effectively, and even experience less burnout. Naming the feeling reduces its grip. This is called affect labeling. It's simple, but deeply transformative. Next time you feel emotionally triggered, try this. Pause for 3 seconds. Ask, what am I feeling right now? Then, where in my body do I feel it? This tiny gap rewires your brain over time, turning reactivity into awareness. Self-awareness isn't about judging yourself. It's about becoming familiar with your emotional weather. The more you check in, the less your emotions catch you off guard. You start choosing your response rather than being owned by your reaction. Once you can name what you feel, the next step is learning to manage it. That's where self-regulation comes in. Because awareness without regulation is like seeing the fire, but never learning to hold water. Let's dive in.
So you've named the feeling, but what happens next? Self-awareness opens the door, but self-regulation keeps you from burning the house down. This is where emotional intelligence becomes emotional mastery. Let's say you're exhausted. A colleague sends a passive-aggressive email. You start typing back in anger, but then pause. You delete what you created being emotionally overwhelmed. You respond the next day, calm and clear. That's not weakness. Break here, stop mill. That's real strength. Research shows that impulse control is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success. Kids who could delay gratification scored better in life. Not just in school, but in health, income, and happiness. It's not about suppression, it's about conscious choice making. Next time you feel triggered, do this. Pause. Inhale deeply and exhale as slow as possible. Notice your feet on the ground. Then name your inner values such as kindness, clarity, respect. Now act from that space of inner strength instead of inner chaos. Self-regulation rewires your nervous system. It teaches your body safety. It says, I can feel anger without becoming it. I can hold sadness without drowning in it. That's not emotional detachment. It's embodied wisdom, and it helps you to heal, to transform, to become a better person. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you learn to ride the emotional waves, you discover something underneath. Drive, energy, purpose. Self-regulation makes space for something deeper. Naomi, show us what that looks like.
Thank you, Ben. Let's talk about the skill that holds every relationship together. Empathy. It's not about agreeing, it's about understanding. Empathy says, I see you, I hear you, and I care enough to stay with you in it. Imagine this. Your partner comes home, frustrated. They snap at you. Your first impulse, defend yourself. But then you pause. You see their tired eyes. You say, rough day, and suddenly, the fight that never happened was emotional intelligence at work. Empathy isn't magic. It's wired into us. Mirror neurons in your brain let you feel what others feel. The more aware you are of your own emotions, the more attuned you become to others' emotional state of being. Self-awareness grows empathy always. Here's a simple practice. When someone talks, don't plan your reply. Instead, watch their face. Listen for tone. Feel the space between their words. Then reflect back. Sounds like you're feeling, fill in the blank. Closing parenthesis quote. It's subtle, but powerful. Empathy dissolves walls. It turns arguments into connection. It says, I don't need to fix you, I just want to be with you. When someone feels felt, they heal, they soften, and so do you.
Alright, welcome to the skill that brings it all together, social skills. This is where self-awareness, regulation, motivation, and empathy turn into connection. Because knowing yourself is power, but knowing how to relate is influence. You're leading a team. Deadlines are tight. One member is stressed. You say, I see you're under pressure. What would support look like right now? That one question changes the entire tone. It builds trust, and trust gets results. Goleman found that top performers aren't just smart or skilled. They're also emotionally attuned. They resolve conflict. They inspire. They know how to say hard things without breaking connection. That's social intelligence in action. Before a tough conversation, try this. Feel, what's alive in me? Think, what's my goal? Say, how can I speak truth with care? This structure keeps you grounded, so the message lands without damage. Social skills aren't about charm. They're about clarity, courage, and care. When you master them, you don't avoid conflict, you transform it. You turn tension into truth, resistance into relationship. But none of this holds without fuel, without something that keeps you going. Especially when things get hard. And that's what emotional intelligence ends with. Motivation. Naomi, take us there.
Let's talk about the engine behind it all. Motivation. Not external pressure, but internal fuel. Emotional intelligence means knowing what moves you, and staying connected to it, even when things get hard. For example, you're tired. You failed 3 times, but instead of quitting, you ask, what's the deeper reason I started this? You feel the spark again. That's not hype. That's emotional clarity guiding you forward. And this is the reason why it's so important to align yourself with true values. Goleman shows that high EQ individuals are driven by purpose, not ego. They don't need praise to keep going. They're self-motivated, especially in setbacks. Resilience isn't just grit. It's emotionally intelligent energy management. When you're stuck, try this. Write down your goal. Now ask why 5 times. Go deeper each time. At the bottom, you'll find a really meaningful value, not a task. That's the kind of fuel that doesn't burn out. Motivation without awareness burns you out. Awareness without motivation keeps you stuck. True growth is when your emotional world and your deeper purpose start pulling in the same direction. That's when things click.
So here we are, 5 emotional skills, 1 integrated intelligence, and a truth that's been waiting for you all along. You are not too emotional. You are not too sensitive. You're just learning to speak a language no one taught you growing up. The language of your own inner world. Emotional intelligence isn't about being perfect. It's about being present with yourself, with others, with life. And it starts small. Break here, stop mill. not with huge breakthroughs, but with moments. Moments where you pause, where you breathe, where you choose kindness instead of control, clarity instead of chaos, connection instead of fear. Break here, stop mill. And every time you do, you're rewiring your brain, you're healing old patterns, you're becoming the kind of person you needed when you were younger. So wherever you are on your journey, keep going, not because you're broken, but because you're growing. If this video made you pause, reflect, or feel seen, we'd love for you to stay connected. Drop a comment. Which of the 5 skills are you working on right now? Hit like, share it with someone you care about, break here, stop mill, and subscribe for more videos like this. We're building a community of emotional explorers, and you're already one of us. Let's grow slow and root deep together.